So a lot of you guys have been asking me, should I still buy the iPad mini 6 in 2023? And my answer is absolutely, categorically, and unequivocally, yes you should. And here's why. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey, what is up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. So if you've been to the channel before, you already know I love my iPad mini 6. In fact, it has become my favorite iPad of all time. When Apple announced it at the end of 2021, it came as a complete curveball. We were all watching the presentation thinking that the iPhone 13 was going to be the main event, but this little guy completely stole the show. I was never that interested in the mini version of the iPad, but for some reason, with the iPad mini 6, with its new design, I don't know what it was, but I just had to have it, and I haven't looked back since. It is by far the iPad I use the most every single day for a couple of very good reasons, so let me take you through them. The first reason why the iPad mini 6 is worth it is power. This might be the smallest iPad in the lineup, but make no mistake, this little guy packs a punch. It is rocking the A15 Bionic chip, it has a 6-core CPU, a 5-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. Combined with 4GB of RAM, it has plenty of power to handle most tasks. It is great for editing photos, you can edit 4K videos, and it even does a fantastic job as a gaming device. And we will talk a bit more about gaming later on in the video. The way I see it is this. The M1 iPad Pro is an insanely powerful tablet. In fact, it is so powerful that there isn't a single app out there that makes use of all the power it has to offer, which is exactly the reason why I didn't even consider upgrading to the M2 iPad Pro. I dedicated an entire video to why I'm not upgrading. I'll link to that in the description below in case you're interested. Anyway, the point is that most, if not all, apps run perfectly fine on much less power than the Silicon iPads, which means that the iPad mini 6 can run pretty much any app available, and it runs them well. When this iPad came out, a lot of people thought it was a smaller version of the iPad mini 9, but that is absolutely not the case. Think of this thing as a shrunken down version of the iPad 4, but with better cameras. And that brings me to the next reason why you should consider buying this tablet, and that is convenience. You will never ever catch me taking pictures on my 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I've seen people do it at conferences. Trust me, you don't want to be massive iPad photo guy. But I have no problem whipping out the mini for a quick snapshot. In one of my earlier reviews of this tablet, I coined the term toiletability because I couldn't find a better word to describe what I meant. Basically, what that means is that if it's comfortable enough to take with you on a trip to the bathroom, it's comfortable enough to take with you anywhere. I took it with me on our trip to New York last year, and I challenged myself to leave my iPhone at home and use nothing but my iPad mini 6. It was a super fun experience and it worked surprisingly well. I shot a ton of footage with the intention of making a video out of it, but I never did. I'm still thinking of editing that video though. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing that. Anyway, I can give you a little spoiler, and that is that the iPad mini 6 is absolutely perfect as a travel companion. The cameras are good enough to take decent photos and videos. There's an LTE version, so you can use a SIM card without having to rely on Wi-Fi, so you can navigate, look stuff up, read a book, since it's perfectly Kindle-sized, or play a quick game whenever you find yourself needing to kill a bit of time, at the airport for instance. Another big advantage is the fact that it comes with a USB-C port, which means you can hook up all kinds of accessories like external batteries, SSD drives, you name it. That's useful when traveling, but it's equally useful when you're back at home or at work. One of my absolute favorite accessories is Pitaka's charging stand and case. Pitaka designed a case especially for the iPad mini with a built-in USB-C plug. That plug leads to the connector dots on the back of the case, essentially giving the iPad mini wireless charging, when used with the Pitaka charging stand, of course. I did a dedicated video on that stand as well, which I will also link down in the description. By the way, there's a ton of this type of content on the channel, so if you enjoy these videos, a sub to the channel would be much appreciated. Anyway, my iPad mini pretty much lives in this case, and I have 3 of the stands, 2 in the studio and 1 at home. There's one at the entrance of my studio where I use the iPad mini as a control center for my lights and other smart devices. Everything runs through the mini as a central hub, if you will. Once everything is turned on, I take it with me to my main desk right behind me and I snap it on the stand right there. This is where I'll keep my iPad most of the day until I bring it home with me. So when I'm on a call at my desk or I'm doing some research, I will grab it off the stand really quick to use it for note taking. Now, if I'm being totally honest with you, this might be my favorite use case for the iPad mini and the #1 reason I recommend it. It is the absolute perfect size for note taking. It isn't in the way on your desk like the 12.9-inch iPad Pro would be. Unlike the iPad 10, the mini uses the Gen 2 Apple Pencil, which is great. And if you couple it with a Paperlike, I'm telling you, you've got yourself a perfect notepad. And let me take a quick minute here to shout out Paperlike. They have been a great channel partner for the past couple of years, and applying a Paperlike screen protector is always my first order of business whenever I get a new iPad. It just makes handwriting on the iPad infinitely better because it gets rid of that slippery plastic on glass kind of feeling, and it gives you that Paperlike resistance when writing, sketching, or drawing. As an added bonus, it also reduces glare and fingerprints. One thing I really appreciate about Paperlike is that they actually listen to their customers. They already made the writing and viewing experience a lot better by introducing nano dots technology, and with their newest Paperlike version 2.1, they made the viewing experience so clear that it's easy to forget you even have a protector on there. Every order comes with 2 Paperlikes and the application accessories. If you want to try one out for yourself, there's a link in the description. Right, that clarity will come in handy for the next reason you should buy the iPad mini 6, and that is media consumption. If you like to watch videos on the couch or in bed, this iPad mini is the one for you. Nobody wants to watch an entire show or a movie on an iPhone, but the iPad Pro, however fantastic the screen is by the way, can get pretty heavy very quickly. The mini is super light, so it's not a problem to hold it up for longer periods of time. Same thing is true for airplane tables. Unless you're willing to spend the big bucks, airplane seats and tables are pretty crammed. As you know, my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, especially with the Magic Keyboard, is too big in those situations. Not the iPad mini. Just hold it or prop it up using a case or a stand and you're good to go. Another thing I like about the iPad mini's size when it comes to media consumption is that it's also great to use in portrait mode, which is useful for short form content like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikToks. Another big one to consider when you're considering buying an iPad mini 6 is gaming. I mean, games for iPadOS are getting better and better, and some of them are actually getting awfully close to being console quality. During my initial review of the Mini, I tested a couple of games from pretty light stuff like Sonic Racing to absolute hogs like Genshin Impact, and I was actually surprised at how well the Mini handles heavy games like Genshin. It's the perfect size for handheld gaming, but as you can see, you can also hook up a PS5 DualSense controller to the Mini to make the gaming experience even more interesting. And finally, the reason why you should get the iPad mini 6 is that we have no idea when the iPad mini 7 might be dropping. This is probably the question I get asked the most. You know, when is the mini 7 coming out, and is it still worth getting the mini 6? My answer to that is this: we don't know when there will be a new mini. The update cycles of the mini have been very irregular to say the least, and we have no concrete rumors of a new iPad mini potentially coming out soon. Aside maybe from a rather vague statement by our favorite Apple leaker Mark Gurman at the beginning of this year, where he said any updates to the iPad mini, iPad Air, and entry-level iPad this year won't be anything more than a spec bump, if they arrive at all. I mean, ultimately, there will always be something newer and better on the horizon, but that should not stop us from enjoying the tech that is available today. So if you've been on the fence about treating yourself to an iPad mini 6, I say go find yourself a good deal and go for it. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it one of these. It really does help the channel. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.